King, Cubes of the Cash, Gary B, the Casual Comic Guy here, and on this special bonus edition of the 1011, joining me as a co-host, we have our good buddy Chuck Hensey. Chuck, how you doing tonight? Words are
Doing
hard
great.
for me today, guys, so we're gonna have to get through it together. How the first couple weeks is getting back into the swing of being a teacher treating you?
We've all survived, and I haven't had to throw anybody out yet, so that's good.
There you go. All right, and guys, welcome him for the first time on the show and on the 1011 on the channel. Please welcome Scott Palochik. Scott, how you doing tonight, sir?
Very good. Thanks for having me.
Did I say your last name correctly?
Yes. I was in the Navy,
so
so
Palochik or Palochik?
It's really Palochik, but I was in the Navy, so in boot camp they call you everything but your right name. So I've heard every iteration of my name possible.
Well, it'll be Palochik from here forward. All right, so Scott, as we like to do these things, you're the guest. We're gonna let you give a quick 2-minute version of who you are, what you do. We'll say hi to the chat, and then we'll come back and we'll start on your books.
Sure. My name's Scott Palochik. I'm 53 years old. I've been collecting. I started off when I was a young kid, but then life gets in the way. I got away from collecting and got back into it in about 2017. At that time, I got into, watching some of the YouTube shows. I saw Reggie Collects, really got into that, and, really liked the way that Reggie presented stuff. So I'd reached out to Reggie and, kind of has been his guy behind the scenes in creating T-shirts and some of his trading cards, the comics to go box, the storage boxes. And also I've, had 20 years experience in commercial printing. So I've been the guy that's helped out with the layout of the Smart Guide to Collecting and Isolation. And now I have my own book that will be releasing soon called Marcus through Soldier Publishing.
Nice. Excellent. And and guys, look for him in the future because he'll be on an episode of In the Hot Seat where we'll ask him all about it and he'll get to premiere it and let you guys know all about it. But that's for another time. Tonight, we're here to learn about who he is by the comics he loves. And let's get to the chat real quick. First in tonight, as always, we have Las Cruces. Good evening, James. How you doing, sir? Followed quickly by Brad. How you doing, Wellbore? Nice to see you, buddy. Steve the Voice White. How you doing, Steve? Steve, I already got in trouble reading you because then I called Scott the wrong name. We got Paul from Psychedelic Comics. Good evening, sir. We got our good buddy Joe. How you doing this evening, Joe? Nice to see you, bud. Joe had a great episode of the 1011 Tuesday. We have Tina Carrington. Always great to see you, Tina. Thank you for popping in. One of the best people in our community. Chop and Drop. Nice to see you, Chop. Chop, another great supporter. And we have a whole conversation going on here. TM Nerdy. Travis, how you doing tonight, sir? Nice to see you. Mr. Matt Woods. How you doing, Matt? Good to see you, buddy. And where are we going? Milt from Flowers Comics. Nice to see you, Milt. Hope you're doing well, sir. And Tina, Joe. That's what I love. We already got the community going and talking. All right, so right now we are caught up with the chat. We'll give a quick nod to anyone who's coming in afterward, but we will not interrupt our guest. Right now, and joining us last minute, we have Steve White right here.
I'm here.
Steve, how you doing tonight,
hey.
Sir?
How are you doing?
Good evening, good.
People. Yep.
So, all right. So, Scott, we're on you now. So, you reached out to me. I was more than happy to have you on. I'm excited to. It's been fun for the few minutes I've got to know you backstage, but you're new to me, and I can't wait to see what you bring on the show for books and how they connect to you. So, let's start with number one and get it rolling.
Sure. So, number one is the first book that I can ever remember reading. First comic book I ever remember reading. I started reading early, and my grandparents always tried to sort of encourage me to read more and more things. And I will always remember, I come from an Italian family, so Christmas, the whole family gets together, and we opened up our presents. And when I saw this book, my cousins, I'm the oldest out of all my cousins, we grabbed a tray full of cookies and ran up to the landing up the stairs. And it's the Marvel Treasury Edition, the Fantastic Four. Whoop, let me roll over here.
Already a winner.
Yeah, this is 1974, so I was about 5 or 6 when I got this. But I remember reading this cover to cover with my cousins, and what this, this whole Treasury edition took, multiple stories and put it into one big format, large format book. And in this one, it was a reprint of the Master Plan of Doctor Doom from Fantastic Four number 23. My favorite story, The Coming of the Submariner, which was the reprint of Fantastic Four number 4, which was the first Silver Age appearance of Submariner. And then The Return of the Frightful Four, which was a reprint of Fantastic Four 94. And the last story was This Man, This Monster, which was a Thing story, which reprinted Fantastic Four number 51. And I remember my cousins and I just, kind of just going crazy reading this back to back and just looking at the beautiful, Jack Kirby art and stuff like that. And that's when I really got hooked into comics. So
and those treasuries, I love them. I love the large format. It's just so larger than life. I have all the Conan ones in the other room, but like you said, all reprints. But I love when you can get to see a story that you love in a different type of format. And the treasuries are such a great format. I wish they would bring them back once in a while just for fun.
Yeah.
And they're tough to find too. You don't find those treasury editions all the time. And if you do find them, they're usually beat to crap, right?
Yes.
I found this on eBay last year. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh my God, I have to have it. And it is in fantastic condition.
It looks great.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So did you set as a goal to then try to get all those individual issues? Because I had one of those Hulk treasuries, and I've been trying. I don't have all the individual issues, but I've got almost every single one of them that was in that book.
Yeah, I haven't gotten all the. I have another focus. I'm trying to get a full run on Daredevil because Daredevil's my favorite character, so that's my first focus. But yeah, no, I mean, I eventually, yes, I would like to have all those, but I'd like to get all of these treasury editions too. I definitely would like to look for other those. So
yeah, I got one of them that's near mint, like it's never been touched. The other ones are in, hey, this book's been love shape.
Yeah.
So Paul is saying This Man, This Monster is his favorite FF story of all time.
Oh, that's a great Thing story. It is really, really good. That's very well written.
And Caroline, Lady Fantastic, has the Cat Bicentennial one in a Hulk treasury. All right, sweet. Book number 2, Scott.
So book number 2 is I would say this is the book that turned me into a collector. So there was
important.
There was I grew up in the Pittsburgh area, and there was basically a small convention that used to come to one of the hotels every year in Monroeville. And again, like I said, from the Fantastic Four, I always loved Submariner. He was one of my, one of those characters that I really loved. And I went to the one convention and I saw Submariner number 1. And I was sitting there and I said, I have to have that Submariner number 1. I'm trying to get the glare.
And it's such a great cover too.
Yeah. But I saved money for an entire year, cutting grass, shoveling walks, doing everything I could so that I could get a Submariner. The first thing my friend and I, as soon as my mother dropped us off at the hotel, we ran in and my friend looked at me and he goes, "What are you going to do?" I was like, all of this money, I don't care if I get no other books. All I want is Submariner number 1. So I was able to pick that up. And that was when I truly transitioned over to a collector, because now I started building what I wanted in my collection.
Nice. Now, what your first exposure to the Submariner was in FF?
Yes.
Okay. And then you just took to the character right away, huh?
Yeah, I love swimming. My daughters are swimmers. They always say they get their gills from daddy because I was a Navy rescue swimmer and stuff. So Aquaman, Submariner, I always loved, those guys just because I love water. So
Right? That's all right. That's a great story. All right, number
yeah.
3, bud.
So number 3, I have at that same convention in Monroeville. They used to have artists and things like that. This is a series I doubt many people have heard of, but I truly just love this story. It's called The Realm.
Oh, what a fantastic cover.
Yeah, the artist is Guy Davis and Stuart Kerr is the writer. And this story is basically when I was younger, I played a lot of Dungeons and Dragons and stuff. So it's a group of kids that go to the one kid's uncle leaves them a cabin. They go to the cabin, they find something, and it takes them right back into this magical world, like a Dungeons and Dragons kind of world. So the one kid becomes a barbarian, the other kid becomes a wizard, and so it's just the story. The artwork is fantastic. I'm missing like maybe a couple issues because it started off with Arrow Comics, then it went to like 3 or 4 other publishers, but it is a fantastic story if you can find it.
It looked very Dungeons and Dragony, but how many issues did it run?
Let me see. I think, what do I have? There's 30. Give me 1 second. I will tell you.
So it ran for a while. In other words, this is not some brief thing.
No, it ran for a while.
Arrow produced a lot of really neat. I think was that in the 90s?
80s. So this was 86 that came out. So with Arrow, there was 12 issues with Arrow. Then it went to Weeby Comics. I think there was another like 10 or so issues or something like that. So, and then they had these other spin-offs called Legends of Lore and things like that. So really it was a fantastic story.
Nice. It looks great. So too bad it's not something you can get in trade though, being from the smaller publishers.
No. And like I said, I mean, just trying to find individual issues is really, really difficult.
And I love some of those smaller publishers because I collect some of them myself. And even with like Marvel or DC, you have the licensed properties where you can't get them in trades. Mm-hmm. And it's just a great feeling to have the actual books, to be able to pull them out and know that it's just its own place in comic history.
Yep.
All right, nice. Great book. All right, number 4, sir.
So number 4 is the first book that I sent in to get graded.
Ooh.
And this book came back a Gem Mint 3.5. And I call it a Gem Mint 3.5 because when I sent this in, they asked me, do you want to get it pressed and everything? And I said, absolutely not. This Thor 337, this whole little series that personally I think Walt Simonson had the most fantastic run on Thor that has ever been. I love the story. I love his art. And Beta Ray Bill was, this whole storyline where, he picks up the hammer and everything was just fantastic. When I was in the Navy. Oh, yeah. When I was in the Navy, when I came home from leave, I found out that my stepmother had thrown away most of my comic books.
Ooh.
Oh, no.
There was a false wall in my bedroom, and I hid 4 long boxes in that hiding space. This was one of the books. So I took all 4 of those long boxes, and they were with me from that point on. So I took them back to my ship in San Diego. This book has been to the Persian Gulf twice, and I've read it on watch. I've read it at a gun mount. I've read it in the missile house. Every scratch, every fold, every crease. It has a story to it.
What it's earned.
It's
Yeah.
earned. And
Yeah.
then here, I live in Nazareth, Pennsylvania, and Phillipsburg High School. They have a comic book and anime club, and every year they do a convention. Walt Simonson and Louise Simonson came to the convention. So I brought this book and I said, I have to meet Walt Simonson and I have to have him sign this book. And as soon as he signed it, I was like, this is going to CBCS so I can get it, verified. But this is the first book I ever got graded. And I told my kids, this is one of the books that comes with me when I go. So when I die, there is a small cache of books that my kids know come with me. And with that, Simonson also did this picture for
that
me
is cool.
Wow.
Nice Loki.
of Loki.
Yeah.
And it was just, it was just fantastic. So
God, so all the medals that you earn should go with that comic book.
Well, it's great that you have Simonson's signature on it too.
oh yeah. Yeah. That was meeting him, and he was the nicest guy in the world. Just sitting there and listening to some of the stories that he had was just fantastic. It was an absolute delight.
And that's one of the best things too, right? When you meet a creator you like, and they're actually a real decent, down to earth person, and they're just happy to talk about what they do.
Yep.
It's impressive how much that run has held up over the years. I mean, when you think about it, there's so much that took place.
Oh, with the Surtur, the whole thing. And then, when Thor Ragnarok came out, I mean, they used Cate Blanchett's Hela. They completely used Simonson's design for her costume and everything, and it was just spot on. It was perfect.
And Cate Blanchett looks so good as Hela.
Oh,
she's one of those actresses. She's got the lines in the face, like she can become the character. She's one of those like old school beauties.
Oh yeah, yep, that was fantastic.
Oh yeah, that headdress. I love that they kept the headdress crazy, like in comics.
Oh yeah,
they didn't try to scale it down or anything.
When it came out, I was like, oh, that is perfect, because I mean, I look at that's the Hela that I remember from his drawings, and that will forever be my Thor run there. So.
Right, and when you see those little moments in the live actions, that's when you get your nerd moments. When Cap picked up the hammer in Avengers, and you're like, that was it. Everyone in the theater was done.
Well, that, and to finally hear him say "Avengers Assemble,"
yes,
that was I was giddy as a little kid.
Well, and in that Thor movie, they did a good job with the redemption of the Executioner too.
Yep.
And you talk about the nerd moments ending with him, running out of bullets and then starting to beat people over the head with the guns.
With the M16s, yep.
Yes. Just such a classic image there. So
absolutely, yep, that was fantastic.
Besides, Carl Urban too, that guy can do no wrong.
Oh,
it doesn't matter what. I just watched Pathfinder again the other night with him. I love that movie, but Carl Urban's great. It doesn't matter what you put him in.
Oh yeah,
him and the boys, Bones, and then he's Bones, and he's great Bones.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's great as the Butcher.
Yeah, as the Butcher, it's hilarious. He's hilarious.
Oh yeah. So all right, number 5.
Number 5. Okay, so I said my favorite character. I definitely like Submariner, but my true favorite character is Daredevil. I think growing up as an Italian and being forced to go to Catholic school, you get, a lot of Catholic guilt, jammed on you. So my favorite run of all time has to be Frank Miller's run and the Born Again. So this is the trade paperback of Born Again, but it's, it is, Thor or Daredevil 227, 228, 229, 230, 31, 32, and 33 is that whole Born Again storyline.
And the perspective on those covers is really cool on a lot of them. It's different.
But that's Mazzucchelli. You know, his artwork in that whole series was fantastic. But I think what really got me was that was the time when Frank Miller was writing. You know, he had Dark Knight, Ronin. He wrote with an anger. There was an anger to those storylines that I just
a nice edge on them.
Yeah, as a you know, as a rebellious punk rock youth, you know, I really related to those stories, and they really struck a nerve. So that's another series that goes with me, because I could literally read that Born Again over and over. I just love that whole storyline.
So there's going to be like, when you go, there's going to be like your casket, then the casket of things going with you on there, or you could just do like the whole, I need a tomb, right?
Yeah.
Just like the old pharaohs,
mausoleum.
Yeah, it'll be a small library, I guess. You know?
Right?
Yeah. Did you like Miller's "Give Me Liberty"? What they do with Dave Gibbons?
That wasn't too bad. You know, there were some parts like when he did Martha Washington, and that less on those. But you know, that Ronin is another one. I was really tossing but turning, because I love that Ronin series that he did. And he has the new Ronin, the sequel finally that he's doing now, which I just haven't read it because I'm waiting for all the issues to come out so I can just splurge, and I want to read, you know, from 1 and then 2 all in one shot.
Nice. See that? Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, Ronin has really, the appreciation for it has really grown over time. I remember when it came out and people were expecting it to be this magnificent follow-up to Daredevil, and we're just like, we don't get it. And now I think it's really finally being recognized as the classic.
Oh yeah,
that it is. You know,
I think sometimes that's kind of the problem, though. Like, you know, you see a creator go in a book, and they're so good with that character. Then when they go and do something different, it doesn't mean it's bad, but all they can picture is this dude writing this character.
Yeah. I mean, and you know, look, and Frank Miller again, you know, he's done some classic stuff. I mean, you know, the 300 series was fantastic. You know, Xerxes, the follow-up to that, not so much. I mean, it a little bit slipped on the Xerxes series, but you know, and then Sin City, without a doubt, is just phenomenal. From every single issue of Sin City, I think I have, and they're all phenomenal. And I love that. Oh yeah, and I love that hard edge, black and white, you know, with, you know, just little splashes of color for certain things. I just love the more graphic look and things. I mean, for me, you know, I grew up and dealing with art and things like that, but I also love a story too. So it can capture you one of two ways. It could be fantastic art, and it might save a story, but a good story can save really bad art.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I gotta ask you, since you're a Daredevil fan, because one of the better reviewed runs has happened lately with Chip Zdarsky. Have you read that, and do you agree?
I 100% agree. I will put it on par with Miller's run. I think it's that good. So, I mean, the runs that I really feel have the most impact are Miller's run, David Mack's run, and Chip Zdarsky's run. To me, they are 1, 2, and 3 kind of on equal footing. I really, really, really enjoy those runs.
And what did you think about the Netflix show with
Charlie Cox?
Absolutely loved the casting in that show. Was perfect.
Foggy was incredible. I thought Foggy stole all his scenes.
No, Vincent D'Onofrio, man. Come on. Vincent D'Onofrio as Kingpin.
He was great.
Oh, my God.
I just don't think people give enough credit to the Foggy actor, because that's not an easy role to play.
No, I tell you what, they really need to make sure that they cast him in Disney really needs to make sure they cast him, because, again, he was the perfect supporting actor for Charlie Cox. From a comic standpoint, and somebody like me who really loves that character, he was the perfect pick for that.
And
casting
their chemistry was perfect as the two guys.
Yep.
And it was funny too because they didn't play Foggy as a pratfall. He was, he was a likable guy, but he also knew his stuff,
Yeah, he did.
and
Yeah,
he also had a
Yep.
line that you don't cross.
yeah.
Yep.
His
And
moral
that
standard.
actor was just so good in the role.
Yep.
But yeah, all right. Book number 6.
Book number 6. Okay, so back to teen angst.
Yeah, Matt Wood picking on us. Stan Lee did a decent job writing Daredevil.
Oh, he
Yeah,
was all right.
yeah, I guess so.
You got Mike Murdoch's twin brother that nobody knew about. So it's
Yep. So back to teen angst. One series that I had that unfortunately got thrown away, and I guess it'll be a grail at this point because issue number 1 is very difficult to get. But one of the series that I truly, truly loved was The Crow. And
Oh, yeah.
I have this as the special edition of that James O'Barr had put out. And in this is some additional pages that weren't released in the original books. There's also some other commentary that he puts in here that was just absolutely fantastic and helped support it. But one of the things that I found, when I was young and picked this up was James O'Barr. I love punk rock. I love music. And when I read stories, I really soundtrack the story as I'm reading it. So when I start to read a story, I think of songs that would go perfect as a soundtrack to it. And James O'Barr, in all of his books, he had lyrics to a Joy Division song and things. So that, again, that brooding angst,
Right.
kind of it kind of got picked up here. And then when they did the movie with Brandon Lee, probably one of the best soundtracks there was.
Oh, yeah.
Now you were just taking me. I was smiling because you were taking me back with Joy Division. That's an old callback.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Joy Division, Old Cure, stuff like that. I mean, it was just, again, brooding teen angst. Yeah, that was good times.
And yeah, the Crow. So I know they got a new Crow. What do you think of the new Crow that they got percolating right now with the Skarsgård dude?
I mean, he's a great actor. I'll definitely give him that. I hope they do the story justice. I mean, we've seen the story done, and they've tried it like a few times.
Right.
You can remake it. I just hope they, if they go more exactly the way, a little bit more in tune with the way the book was, maybe that'll be a little bit better. Because even the Brandon Lee version was not much. It diverted from the original story quite a bit. So.
Mhm.
I'd rather see something that is more closer to the original story and original material than goes a different way.
Now, did you like the TV series that was out for a long time?
No.
I was going to ask you as soon as you brought the Crow out.
No. That was awful. And really the only movie I think that was any good was the first one with Brandon Lee. The other two movies. Oh, they were just awful. They're just terrible.
You had the Edward Furlong one?
Oh, no, not at all.
Yeah. I think it's one of those where it's clear that Hollywood got more and more involved with 2 and 3, where one, the director was kind of able to sit there with his copies of the book and go, okay, how are we going to do this?
Yeah, and it was edgy. They, when you had people like Trent Reznor and Nine Inch Nails putting together the soundtrack, it really had a lot more impact. The other two were just fell short.
Well, I mean, it was a problem back then with those type of movies. With they let someone make a really good first one, and then they just want to throw garbage out and get the quick cash grabs.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So well, look, you made something this good. Why would you not want to keep making stuff that good?
Yep.
But all right, number 7.
So number 7 is, I will go with, this is the book that got me back into collecting, the series that got me back into collecting in 2017. like I said, life kind of got in the way. I would always take a look at books. And when I was in college, I started picking up, Spawn and things like that. But really, it wasn't until 2017, and I picked up a news article, and it was all I saw was a picture of Captain America, and he was saying "Hail Hydra," and I was like, "Wait, what? What's this?" So
that's not right. Yeah,
I was like, oh, "What is this?" So Secret Empire, and I absolutely love this cover. I have a giant poster of this that I printed out on our plotter at work. That I have hanging in my closet because I love this, the Hydra where the Cap star is, and then I think this is the other one with the Hydra Cap cover, which I think is just fantastic.
Oh, that's cool.
But Secret Empire was the series that got me back into collecting, because once I started picking that up, I really enjoyed it, and then I just started falling down that rabbit hole again, and I got to pick up and see what Daredevil's doing now, and now all the X-Men, and next thing you know, I've got a pull list that I've got to trim down a little.
And those covers were beautiful on that run too.
Yeah,
there was a couple great Black Widow covers. You're like, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, that was definitely, again, that was.
It was Greg Land covers too, wasn't it?
There was a couple different ones.
That or Mark Brooks. I can't remember. It was.
Mark Brooks did a bunch of them. I think this one is a Mark Brooks. The Zero is a Mark Brooks and others. I mean, but again, that was the series that really brought me back.
Now, do you think they'll ever take that live action?
No, I don't think so. I don't think they'll take that storyline. I think they certainly, if they did, they're going to have to recast. I mean, I would love to see Chris Evans play Captain America and do that storyline. I think that would be fantastic. I think it's a great storyline that they could do, but I think they're going to go a different way. I mean, they're getting more into the galactic, the intergalactic, right. and now the mysticism and
the supernatural.
Yeah, I know you're going to have some street level heroes that are going to be supporting, but they're going for the big bads now. So. Right,
and I've been waiting for the supernatural to come for so long.
Well, I'll tell you what. That last year, the Halloween special was with Man Thing was fantastic.
And I like the Hellstrom series that was on Hulu. I was so upset when they canceled it after a year.
Yeah,
and after a season.
And the Ghost Rider they had pop up on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was really well done too.
That Ghost Rider looked better than the Ghost Rider in the movies.
Yes.
And he was better.
I will say that, yeah.
And Gabriel Luna was great in that role.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I loved it. And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was one of those shows I loved. And the first season was not great, but that was one of those series where I thought it got better every season.
It definitely grew on you, and the characters, I think they developed the characters. That series is a long burn, right?
Yes.
The characters definitely developed over time, and it got better. So,
all right, number 8.
So number 8, I kind of switched this up at the last minute, but I will throw a shout out here to my fellow Soldier Publishing, Doug Bratton, and Isolation.
Nice.
And I throw this out because this is the first published book, where my name is actually in there. So
nice.
my first name in a published book, Scott Palochik, pre-press design. So
yeah,
in a comic book. So now I'm looking forward to doing Marcus and having it as the writer. But again, working on this project with Doug and Reggie has been fantastic. Some of the covers that we've had in these have been phenomenal. The story is fantastic. On issue number 2, I definitely bring this one because when we started using the spot gloss for the premiere cover, this cover and doing the spot gloss, I have to create the mask. So all these different hair strands to get them to be, you might be able to see it or not.
The foil.
Oh, like kind of embossed.
Yeah. So it's a spot gloss. So there's all the black is matte and everything else is a gloss finish. But getting it so that each one of those strands, this took a lot of time to do. It was absolutely a blast and a lot of fun to do it.
Right. And the final product looks amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And Delia Gunderson and Chase Cowan both are phenomenal artists. And Chase is the one that's working on Marcus with me. And I can definitely tell you that the artwork, we've really been focused on the artwork. And I know a lot of people are angry saying, well, I haven't seen a cover yet. The cover's coming. Don't worry. But the artwork, you will be knocked out of your socks. And if you want, I might be able to sneak peek you something just between
Absolutely.
us. Just between us.
Sure. Right?
What else is
between us and the internet.
Yeah.
Everyone in the chat, just look away for a second.
Yeah.
Everybody in the chat, just don't say anything really loud. If you got issue number 4 of Isolation, there was an ad in the back for Marcus, and it shows our main characters.
Very nice.
That's cool.
And I know that Reggie, when we launched and showed talked about the book, we showed the roughs for page 3 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
And just between us, this is what the final of page 3 and 4 looks like.
Nice.
Oh, very nice.
Is it going to be all black and white too?
Yes. Yeah.
Ooh,
I mean,
I love black and white.
From a cost standpoint, it makes more sense to do it that way. But I love, I love black and white. The old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and stuff like that.
Yep.
I just thought that was always fantastic. So
The Walking Dead was like that too.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Now I liked you were talking about turtles because you're a big turtle guy. I liked them when they first came out, and they were an adult title. Like those
were
stories
violent.
were really good. Once they went kiddie, I didn't care for it. But
Yeah, they were
those stories
violent.
Were amazing.
Yep. They were violent. I mean,
And they were
Raphael
rough.
was killing people.
Right.
He was killing, the foot. And, then when they I'm not going to say they sold out. They cashed in like anybody else.
Yeah.
You have an opportunity to do it. I'm not going to, I'll never look down on somebody. If you have that opportunity to sell
Exactly.
and cash in on it, do
They
it.
had their life made after that.
Yeah.
And that always gets me with people, right? Like a group that you'll follow for years, all of a sudden that one of their albums hits big. Oh, I don't like them anymore. They went commercial. That's the whole point. That's why you go into it.
Bands are the best when they are young, pissed off with something to say. And then, and driving around in a van and playing show after show. I mean, that's when bands are at their best. But the ultimate goal is to make money, right? You need to make money doing that. And
So
when
you
a
can
band
live.
makes it big, you can't fault them for it. So
Exactly. Well, you can't, and it always kills me that people act like they would never do that. It's like you would do it in half a second.
in a heartbeat.
I mean,
Well,
Do you want to keep starving, or you want to have food on the table and live in luxury? Not a hard choice.
And let's face it, if Bono sold out, I mean, what choice did the rest of us have? I mean,
Right.
Well, one of the reasons why I wrote Marcus was I saw an interview with Guillermo del Toro, and he was talking about people who complain about movies and stuff like that. And in the interview, he said, well, this is a form of entertainment. And if you are not entertained, then and you don't like it and you want to complain about it, then make your own movie.
Right.
Write your own script.
Exactly.
And if it works, then people will buy it. He goes, if you don't like it, make it. And maybe there is going to be a large following of people that agree with you and follow you. So I writing the story, it sort of a little bit came out of that too, in getting that, I guess the dream of every comic collector is to have your own book. And I feel that, I wrote a story. I think it's compelling. I hope everybody likes it. We still have a few other big surprises in store that will blow people's minds, that we'll be releasing very soon, that I think will get more people, excited about the book. But, hopefully it works.
Yeah, and the best
when it
idea
does come out, you have a second place to promote it, not just on Reggie's channel, but as well.
Yep.
And Guillermo del Toro, I got to say for a second, an incredible filmmaker. And for any of you that have never watched one of his OG movies, The Devil's Backbone, that movie is amazing. Probably the best ghost effects I've ever seen in any movie ever, with that boy, the drowning boy. Those effects were so incredible.
That and Pan's Labyrinth.
A compelling story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Pan's Labyrinth is also, it is just visually, it is amazing.
It is.
You can't catch everything. Like, you have to watch it multiple times to see everything, to see his entire vision, because he has so many things happening at once. It truly is mind blowing.
All right, Guillermo, we gave you some love. Now we got to get back to Scott. Number 9, sir.
Number 9 is, so this book, it was a series that DC had come out. And again, this is somewhat of a I would say an inspiration to the Marcus series that I wrote, but it's called The Light Brigade. The Light Brigade is a really, really good series. It's 4 issues written by Peter Tomasi, and Peter Snaberg is the artist. And when I started reading the story, I saw the military. I kind of like some of the war stuff. And as I'm reading the story, they start talking about Marcus Longinus. And I was laughing because when I was in elementary school, I went to a Catholic elementary school until they told my father, don't ever register your child here again. I mean, who amongst us has not sat in a storage closet drinking wine and eating, the communion wafers? But I mean, they weren't blessed, so it wasn't a sin. But so they would always send me over to have me read in the church, and the one priest used to come out and talk, and I would always ask him questions, and I learned about Marcus Longinus from him. And as I was reading the story, it's a fantastic story where it's World War II, and this platoon starts fighting the Nephilim, and Marcus Longinus is leading this group, and they're fighting with, he gets the sword of God to fight the fallen angels. And the story is just fantastic. I highly recommend it. I think, a lot of people would like that. And it'll give you a good insight, at least to one of the characters that's in my book. Nice.
Well, I had already made a little side note when you brought that book out, so I'll probably be reading it in my future. First, I got to read a two-issue Superman story from Anachronic. So
I'm doing the same thing, Gary. I'm sitting here friggin' writing all this stuff down now.
Right?
So, Scott, what year did that series come out?
Let me see. Did I write it down? You know what? I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, Steve, I love doing this show. It's my favorite thing to do on YouTube, but it always costs you money.
New addictions. That's okay. It's not a bad thing.
Let me see. Light Brigade came out in 2004.
Okay.
Oh, not that old at all. Not too.
Yeah, it's not that old. So it's definitely a good series to check out.
Right, number 10, Scott. Let's see what you got.
So number 10 is this was a gift from my wife, And because growing up, I was mischievous youth. And when I was in the Navy, my mother used to send me packages when I was out overseas. So I'd get like hot chocolate and gummy bears and stuff like that. My grandmother would put a videotape in and just tape 3 or 4 movies on HBO. And so we would have
nice.
things to watch while we were out at sea. But one of the things that my mother would put in there was the Calvin and Hobbes, like the collection books. Well, in one of the books, she had circled one of the cartoons, and it was this cartoon where Calvin is sitting there pounding nails into the coffee table. Yeah. You know, and the mother goes crazy. You know, what are you doing? And he's like, "Is this a trick question?" Or and my mother circled that, and she was like, "This man must have followed you around as a child, because when I was little, I came home from school one day. I was watching TV. My parents were at work, so naturally, I had the electronic babysitter, and this commercial came on for string art, and basically, it was a piece of wood that had a picture on it, and you would put nails in, and then you would use string to put around the nails and stuff like. And I said, "The hell do I need to buy that for?"
Yeah,
I drew a picture on the coffee table, went underneath my grandmother's porch, and got these like 10-penny framing nails that I hammered into the coffee table, and then used like shoestrings and yarn to put it around. And my mother came home and they were freaking out, going, "What did you do?" I'm like, "Look, Mom, it's string art. You don't have to pay for it now."
Brilliant.
So the gift my wife gave me was the complete Calvin and Hobbes hardcover box set.
Wow.
And it has every single story, every single every single one that Watterson did.
And man, I missed that one when it went away.
Man, yeah. I've got all those books, man, but I don't have that thing. Now there's a new addiction. There we go.
This absolutely, I mean, Calvin and Hobbes is one of my absolute favorite of all time, and I can read those 100 times and laugh every time I read those. But that whole Treasury edition is just fantastic.
You and me both, Scott. I've got all of them too, and they're just beat to crap because I've read them so much, and I bought them every time they came out.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the observational humor in those is so good.
Oh yeah. And you know, the parents, the way he wrote the parents, the dad, the one I'll never forget, the one that I read where he was talking to Calvin, and he was talking about black and white and color pictures. Yes. And he's telling Calvin, well, this was before there was color. The way he would convince Calvin on just these stupid little things. Because my father used to do stupid shit like that to me.
Yeah,
sorry, I didn't mean to say that.
No,
but he would do stuff like that to me, and I was like,
"Swear, it's okay."
Oh yeah,
but we do that to our own kids. You know, I've told the twins that, you know, when they were little and they were having to learn how to buckle themselves in their car seats, that the hazard light was actually the ejector for their car seat, and they didn't get their car seat snapped together, that the sunroof would pop open and they'd get ejected, and nobody remembered to pack their parachutes. So they would all hurry to get strapped in.
I remember when my kids are sitting there, and I had the volume for the radio was behind the steering wheel. So when I would drive, I would sit there and they'd say, "Dad, turn up the music." I'm like, "Oh, hold on. Okay, I have to blow." And I would go, and I would hit the thing, and they're like, and they would sit there, they like, do it again. And I was like, I have no, I'm just hitting the button behind the steering wheel, and you know, we do the same thing to our kids.
Yes. I mean, you got to, right? You got messed with as a kid, and you know.
Well, I love Calvin's mother. After he says that, Calvin goes to her. She goes, "What the hell did you say to him this time?" You know.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the wife has no sense of humor about that kind of thing.
No.
Well, and just some of the cultural stuff he did in that series too, and even some of the homages to some of the old programs that he would fit in there with, like Calvin's Imagine Space Adventures and all sorts of just crazy things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I do remember when it left, and I just really missed that car. I mean, the strips weren't the same after that one went.
No, I mean, and I love, Bill Watterson was just, everything that you've ever heard about him. He's just the nicest guy in the world. So,
and he left it, and it was at its zenith, and you can't say there was any weak Calvin and Hobbes. It's just a great
they're
man.
all great. I got to pull those books out now.
I used to like that. And I used to like the Grimm one with the dog. In fact, I thought Grimm just had a dour sense of humor, which I found hilarious. All right, number 11 with a personal story attached.
So, yeah. So, in high school, I kind of threw personal stories on all of these, but so in high school, one of my very good friends, Tom Aresto, he used to have a comic that he did. He and I were just good friends. We'd go to the conventions together and stuff like that. So he and I would work on these stories instead of, paying attention in accounting or something like that. We would do these. So he made a character that he and I developed it was me in high school, and he was called the Psycho. And when the comics that he would make look like this.
Wow.
Not bad.
So he would do these like every week was a new comic and stuff like that. So when I was in the Navy, he sent me this package of all the Psycho comics that he did. And then a few years ago, what he did was he put everything into a volume 1 and volume 2 hardcover of all the comics and sent it to me. So
awesome.
Wow.
To me, this was one of the most fantastic gifts I've ever gotten.
Wow.
And for it to be, again, it was me. So it was my first time in a comic. So, but my friend, I give this out to my buddy, Tom Aresto. I treasure these with everything.
But his art's amazing too.
He is one of the most talented guys I know. Like
But I mean, his page setups, everything, it's spot on. It's great.
Yep.
Amazing. And it was what, 1 of 1?
Well, a lot of these were like ongoing storylines. So he put everything in a volume 1 and 2. So
I think what Steve meant is you're the only one that has that.
Oh yeah. Oh well, actually he has one. He has one set and then he made me a set. So there's 2.
Does he do professional work at all, or was that just?
He had a comic book shop for a while out where we grew up, and I tried to get it. I really wanted him to work on Marcus with me, but he's got other things going on, and he doesn't do the artwork anymore. I really wish he would, and I've convinced him to possibly do a cover for Marcus for me. So look for that in the future.
I mean, with that much talent, it'd be a shame not to see it anymore.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, all right. So I guess that leaves us with our spec pick, Scott.
Yep. Spec pick. So my local comic book shop here is JAF Comics, JAF Comics in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. And we did a free comic book day signing a couple of years ago, and HS Tack came in, and at the time he was doing his book Redshift, and he signed it. Oh, yeah. So he had a new series that was coming out called Hitomi, which you can see here, the poster. Mm-hmm. And JAF wanted to do the first store exclusive that JAF Comics did. We got Yuko Smith to do this cover. And here it is a little closer.
That's amazing.
So
love the
red. The story Hitomi just finished up. This was the A cover of one. Peach Momoko also did a cover.
Yeah.
For one, but it was a 4-issue series, and I'll tell you what, or 5-issue series, and it's a really, really good story. I highly recommend you pick it up. I know that he has some announcements coming out about it, but it's a really really good read, and I personally think that the Jaff Comics cover that you can get at jaffcomics.com is a really good cover to get. So.
That's not a plug. Yeah, it's a good book. I have it too.
You slid it in very well.
Yeah, but I mean, working with Yuko Smith on that cover was just a blast. He did a fantastic job. He gave us a bunch of different, we really narrowed it down, and then we came up with this cover, and I really think that it really hit it. He hit it out of the park on that.
Oh yeah, and with them being framed by the red sun, it's just great.
Oh yeah.
Incredible.
And there we go. Just picked up one last night on Reggie's Whatnot.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good series. I've enjoyed it so far.
I might have to give it a check. So I have Redshift here, but I can't find my issue 4. So I'm looking through all my boxes trying to find my issue 4 so I can read it.
Redshift is a really good story too. I mean, I really enjoyed that.
Because I wait to have all my miniseries complete, and then I read them in one sitting.
Yep. I like to do the same. And I know he has another, is it a Blaze? I think he has a title coming out with a Blaze. I can't remember what it's called. But it's also another historical fiction like Hitomi was, on a British pilot that crashed in Afghanistan or something. So the artwork really, he sent us some previews of it and stuff, and it looks really, really good too. So I'll have to look up the title and everything, but I'd look at that. And Himkar is just a really, really nice guy.
Yeah, and the Redshift, that was Scout Comics, right?
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I there's a few series from Scout I've read that I liked.
oh yeah.
It Eats What Feeds It was something I really enjoyed. And they had a couple others, but I just wish Scout was better at putting their books out on time.
Yep.
Yeah, or ever.
Because when you get a Scout series, and that's
Mhm.
one of the reasons too, especially if it's Scout, you wait till you have them all to read them. Because you can get a book, and then you can get a book 6 months later, and then maybe 2 months later, and then maybe 6 months later again. You just don't know with Scout.
Yep. And Anachronic Comics just said he knows about the announcement for Hitomi, so it's definitely a series worth picking up.
Nice. Oh, I'll be at my LCS tomorrow, so I'm gonna look for it. I know we had it in there.
Yeah, you'll see the back issues. They should still be kicking around.
Yep.
Yes, it did, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
But all right, great stuff, Scott. Thank you, man. That was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Those
Yeah,
books were
it was a
amazing.
blast.
Oh, it's fun. Well, I mean, it's great. That's the stories on the show are what make the show. And just having you guys come on here and being willing to share things that are important to you is fantastic.
Well, thanks for allowing me. I mean, it's always fun to, see what I love watching, this series, because you get to see everybody has a different collecting style, method, and there's no wrong way to do this hobby. I mean, there's everybody has their own way to do the hobby, and just as long, I enjoy sharing my books. I coach swimming to little kids, and every year at one of my practices, we always have fun and games. And then I put out just tons of comic books, and I've had a lot of parents come up and say, "You got my kid into comic collecting." I'm sorry, I'm going to now make you even poorer, having to have them go every week to the LCS, but encouraging
readers.
Yeah,
Right.
encouraging them to read. That's more the focus.
Absolutely.
Now, we'll go around real quick. So you two gentlemen above and below me, do you guys have anything coming up this week or soon?
Well, I'm going to be showing up on Anachronic Comics with, I believe, next Wednesday, as we're doing a
Espresso
showing up.
mail call.
That's right. We've got our espresso mail call, and I'll be here with Gary doing another 10-1-1 in a couple of weeks. So,
Yep,
though I may be taking my cue from Joe and maybe doing a few more than just 10, but you know, I've got to follow my mentor here. So,
Nice. All right, Steve, anything coming up for you?
Same as Chuck, ditto.
There you go. For me, next we'll have a Savage Saturday comic review this Saturday, as always. We'll have Dale Suspense on the 1011 next Tuesday, and then on Thursday we have Rob Worst on doing his version of the 1011. So next week's an all 1011 week. I keep pretty busy, evidently, but before we sign off and I say thank you to everybody, I want for you, Scott, to tell people a little bit about Marcus again, when they can expect to see it and order it, and when it'll be ready for them.
Sure. So right now we're working. Over half of the book is finished. We have the artwork and everything finished. We're closing out. We're hoping to have it done by next week or so. If you go to swoldierpublishing.com, you can pre-order. We should have the covers to release. We've really been focused on getting the interior artwork and lettering done, because our goal is to have it release in early October. So that's the focus, is to get it done so that we can get it printed and have it in time to release in early October.
Very nice.
I'll be on. I haven't scheduled yet with Reggie our next big announcement on the book. So I would just say check out Reggie's channel. I'll be on there. Next week, I'll be on the Comic-Con podcast with Nemesis Prime and Milton the Manals. So I'll talk a little bit about the book on their show. But the big announcement is going to be on Reggie's show when we release the next big thing. So, the book itself, like I said, I really hope people enjoy the story. We're doing something a little bit different with incorporating QR codes that are going to take you to different things, different interactive pieces to the book. So there's video that it's going to take you to, songs, things like that. So again, you get, as I write, I like to soundtrack things. I'm putting together a soundtrack for issue 1 that I'll share on Spotify, so people can, hear the songs and things that I was listening to or thinking about when I was doing some of the writing on that. So, and I intend on doing that for every issue. So there's a lot of neat stuff there.
Right. Your purchase gets you a full experience.
Yes, you will get the full ticket to ride.
There you go. Perfect. Well, again, I want to thank everyone in the audience. We had a great crowd show up tonight, so thank you guys so much for coming out to support everybody. I have everyone's links. Steve, I'll have to add you. Links in the description below. And please go check these guys out. Make sure you have the notification set on Reggie's channel so you can see when Scott's stuff goes live. And gentlemen, thank you for coming on the co-host. Steve and Chuck, I really appreciate you guys coming on an extra night of me doing this show. And Scott, again, thank you for reaching out. It was an absolute joy and pleasure to have you on the program, and 100% enjoyable, man. That stuff was amazing. Thank you so much for sharing it with us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
No problem. And guys, as I like to end this thing, and got to find my brain here. I was too busy saying thank you to everybody. Until next time, keep it casual.